Well, I think one thing we sure need to mention is like Zebold had two ranches, and I know Mary Young's here today, and Jim and Jay Young ran the Cassidy side of the ranch, and then Lowell and John Scribner ran the down there closer to south of Cassidy, and um, it was called TZ Ranch. Well, Zebold had married Helen Teeter, so that TZ was Teeter Zebold is the connection there. We know the Teeters, their family had a lot of land and oil, and there's a lot of resources in that connection. But Dad always talked about um, when Zebold hired Jim Young and Lowell Scribner, he talked about how they were initially just kind of hired men, and then he figured out what he had, and he said, I got to figure out some way to keep these guys around. And anyway, they worked a partnership where they had a portion of the cow herd. They were able to buy into the cow herd or own part of the cow herd. Well, then all of a sudden his hired men were really part of the ranch. So I thought that was pretty cool how they weren't just hired men. They were part of the ranch. And then of course, Jay Young and John Scribner were able to stick around because of that. So that's pretty neat.
I think going right along with that, there's a really good story of a cattle buyer that was buying and selling cattle all over the place. And I want to say it was maybe out of Texas. But anyway, Jim and Jay Young and Lowell and John, he was watching them and they were handling a lot of cattle for him. And at one point he had bragged that was the best set of cowboys he'd ever seen. I think that's pretty impressive.
Have to be careful. Talk about a good cowboy here.
There's a lot of good.
Absolutely.
And I remember just working calves as a kid, and you'd be holding the back leg or something, and Dad would say, "Now, I don't mind getting kicked, as long as you still got a hold of him." But he said, if I get kicked, if you ain't got a hold of him, man, we're going to have